Hello beautiful people, this is Siren and welcome back to my channel and welcome to the second take of my video about Mercury retrograde, because it wouldn't be a Mercury retrograde without a video going completely wrong. Yeah, I tried to film this video yesterday, but it was so chaotic, it was just way too chaotic even for me, and you know that I am generally super chaotic, right? But it was too much, so I'm giving it a go. I'm giving it a go once again today, and I'm just gonna hope for the best and we'll see how that goes. So I guess without further ado, yeah, make yourself comfortable, grab yourself something delicious to drink. Now remember, something delicious can be something totally non-alcoholic, like for example glass of water or iced coffee or a lemonade. Yeah, apparently I'm becoming this sobriety advocate for sobriety. I would never have thought that this would be me, but it's a huge part of my life and I'm just like happy about it, so I guess you are gonna be hearing more about it. Apologies, I guess, or not. Anyway, let's get into the video, yay! Let me just fix the frame a little bit so my Santa Marta isn't completely like cut from her head. Better, maybe. Okay, so first things first, for those of you who are completely new to astrology or haven't heard about Mercury retrograde before, I'm just going to give you like a quick, easy peasy, very simplified context or background for what I'm going to be talking about, just so you're not like lost here or whatever. Just before I go into that, I just want to make it clear, I just want to clarify that I do not consider myself an astrologer in any way. Okay, I just started studying astrology this year. By the beginning of this year, it's been quite a few months now, but anyway, I just started studying astrology. Okay, so I'm really just going to be giving you like very general information here, and then I'm going to be talking about my personal experience with this particular Mercury retrograde. So just clarifying that, and also a quick disclaimer, since I'm already kind of getting into that anyway. Whatever I say in this video or in any other of my videos is purely my personal opinion, my personal experience, and I'm in no way trying to tell anyone what to do, how to feel or perceive things, energies, etc. I'm just speaking again about my personal experience. Okay, with all that being said, if you are completely new to astrology or if you haven't heard about this phenomenon before, first let's talk about Mercury in general. So Mercury, as you probably know, is a planet, and all of the planets in our solar system have certain effects on us humans. Now, I'm not really going to tell you what these effects are specifically, because I believe that this can really differ from person to person. Some people believe the effects of the planets are energetical, some people believe it's purely psychological. I don't know, okay? No one knows at this moment how exactly astrology works, but it does work, in my opinion. But I'm not going to be projecting my beliefs onto you here. Okay, so with that being said, Mercury is the planet that generally rules over communication, intellect, thoughts, transmission and reception of information, as well as I believe traveling and what else? Technology, because it has to do again with communication, connecting to other people, expressing ourselves, etc. Right? Taking all that into account, now I just oversimplified it, okay, for the sake of the video, so it's not too long. Now let's talk about Mercury retrograde. So first of all, what does Mercury retrograde mean? When a planet, any planet by the way, goes into retrograde, it basically only means that it appears to be moving backwards in its orbit from the Earth point of view. Right? So it's not like the planet is actually moving backwards, it just appears to be from Earth. Now again, every planet goes into retrograde every now and then. Some planets go into retrograde more often than others. There are some planets, for example, that go into retrograde and they stay in that retrograde kind of state, motion, for a hella long time. Mercury isn't one of them. Mercury usually goes into retrograde for a couple of weeks, then it goes direct again, and it goes retrograde again later on in the year. It's usually like 2 or 3 times in the year, I believe, that Mercury goes into retrograde. So it is also why it is the most popular one to talk about. And the other reason why Mercury retrograde is one of the most popular one is because it is a subject of many jokes, especially among witches, spiritual people, astrologers or astrology lovers, fans, etc. Because some of the effects of Mercury retrograde are they can get quite tangible almost and quite visible, you know, as opposed to maybe some other planets retrogrades. Now, do I completely believe in that? Like, for example, Mercury retrograde, like causing technology malfunctions? Okay, what should I answer? I started this video saying that it wouldn't be a Mercury retrograde without the video going wrong. Now, it wasn't actually the technology malfunction, it was just I wasn't able to explain myself properly, so it was the communication blockage right there. But I have had experiences when Mercury would be kind of messing around with some technological electronic devices, excuse me. Now, do I really link it to Mercury? I have jokingly linked it to Mercury retrograde in the past, yes, but I take it more like a joke. I usually tend to see Mercury retrograde as something that really affects, again, like communication and our way of connecting to others. With all that being said, now you might be asking, why have I named the video Mercury retrograde and isolation? And I'm gonna tell you all about it. I'm just gonna have a sip of my water, okay, first. So, while Mercury retrograde is popular for all of these effects that I just told you, so again, miscommunication, technical malfunctions, information not really being received very well or not being sent very well, again, because it's all about transmission and reception of information. There is one particular effect of Mercury retrograde that I believe is not talked about very often in online spaces, or at least I wasn't fortunate enough to come across this kind of discussion or conversation. So I thought about bringing it here, and maybe someone might relate, or maybe not, and you will be like, you are nuts. I don't know. But once again, I just want to put it out there and talk a little bit about this aspect of Mercury retrograde, and the aspect being, as the name of the video suggests, isolation, or the need to isolate. Now, before I go into that, I just want to clarify that I personally believe that astrology is not here to scare us. Okay, we are not supposed to be like frightened by it, even though there are so many jokes about Mercury retrograde and people are like, oh, it's Mercury retrograde, like all of these things are gonna happen, and now be scared about it. I don't really vibe with that as much, even though I do joke about it. However, what I believe astrology is here to do for us is to help us improve our lives in a certain way by helping us understand certain aspects of, well, the cosmos and our connection to it. But again, the way how you view it is going to depend on your personal beliefs entirely. So I'm gonna leave that one there. I just want to say again, I see astrology as a tool to help to improve your life in a way. So with all that being said, I'm gonna tell you about what I usually experience during the Mercury retrograde regarding the isolation or need to isolate. So I have realized, okay, first of all, see, I'm already getting entangled. This is where it's gonna get interesting, and I'm gonna see whether I can actually finish this video. Anyway, first of all, I am an introvert, okay? I'm a total introvert. There is like no way around it. I cannot be more introverted than I already am, I believe. So why I'm saying that? I'm saying that because I tend to have these like periods in my life when I go inwards, right? When I don't really want to be socializing, when I don't want to be hanging out with people, I don't want to be chatting with people, I don't want to be calling with people. I never want to call with people. But I tend to go inwards, I tend to isolate, I tend to like, I need time and space to recharge and just be by myself, okay, or with my cat, or maybe with like one person that will not really bother me. So yeah, it is what it is. However, during Mercury retrograde periods, and especially this one, now I'm filming this, we are, I believe, like 6 days into Mercury retrograde, something like that, I'm not sure right now. During Mercury retrograde periods, and especially this one, I realized that I felt this incredibly strong urge to isolate, and at first it felt like it was coming like out of nowhere, and by out of nowhere I mean I usually tend to want to isolate after the periods of socializing way too much, because obviously I do sometimes socialize in my life and sometimes it becomes too much for me, and then I like step back. But now it wasn't the case. I wasn't really socializing, and even so I felt this incredibly strong urge to just like literally isolate. I don't even have a better word for it. And it also came with these feelings of a little bit of like annoyance when people would be trying to talk to me. And this is a little bit of a scary thing to say, because I really do believe that people should be communicating whatever they're going through, etc. And while I do try to do that, usually in these moments when I'm like in this like isolation mode, it becomes super difficult to even tell people that I'm in the isolation mode. Now, people who know me very well, they already know me, so they respect it and they like pick it up immediately, that they know what's going on, right? But there are some people who I like casually speak to because I'm still sometimes trying to talk to people, right? Very brave of me, I know. And these people who are like new to my life, they don't get it. And sometimes, even though I tell them like, look, I need some space and some time, they usually like take it in a bad way, or they get offended or whatever. I mean, I know that everyone can react however they want. However, during this kind of period of Mercury retrograde, it gets like extra hard, because not only I am under the effect of the Mercury retrograde, and by under the effect, I mean, for me it means I want to isolate. So are the other people, right? Under the effect of the very same astrological event. And it might not mean isolation for them, it might mean something completely different. And maybe they are just misunderstanding me and whatever I'm trying to tell them. Or, you know what I mean? See, like, these communication canals are kind of like blocked, and there are misunderstandings, and it can be annoying as hell. Now, why am I telling you all of this? You might be asking yourself. Well, I'm telling you all of this because usually, or before I came into astrology, before I started reading about astrology and educating myself about the subject, I would just be like going on autopilot, and I would not understand why I'm going through certain things, right? Now, I know some people might joke now and say like, yeah, sure, now you're into astrology, so you just blame it on the planet. Yeah, again, I tend to joke about it as well, because it can be funny, but but I actually do believe, like, believe it or not, but you can sometimes blame something on the planet, and it actually makes a lot of sense, you know. So before I came into astrology, I would be just like on an autopilot, just acting and reacting and just going through life with this attitude of mine. These periods when I really want to like be by myself, and I wouldn't even have words or understanding for it. I couldn't tell people what's going on. This doesn't mean that I'm telling people like, hey, it's Mercury retrograde, I'm isolating. Okay, I'm not telling this to people, especially not to ones who are not into astrology, because that would be like, they would just look at me and they would be like, you're completely nuts. I mean, I believe a lot of people look at me and think I'm nuts anyway, but yeah, I don't argue with that, right? I don't use this argument, this is what I meant. What does that mean for me? Understanding that this isolation is one of the effects that I experience the most in Mercury retrograde means that it gives me kind of like space to actually honor what I'm feeling and what I'm needing currently, without like judgment and without having to over-explain to people. Because I'm gonna get into something else on the next point in a moment. I think I'm going pretty organized so far, right? Or maybe not, I will see when I rewatch the video. I'm hoping, so I'm not gonna reshoot this again. Okay, so I can honor myself better, and with that I can allow myself to not immediately communicate to people what I'm, for example, going through or what I'm needing. And again, I know some people might come at me now and say like, but you have to communicate it. Yes, but Mercury retrograde is also a period and time for introspection. It's like you can literally go inwards. You can literally spend time with your own thoughts, okay, with your own mind, which is scary. I know that. We are not used to that. We are used to do anything but sit with our thoughts, okay? And I'm guilty of that myself. I'm constantly distracting myself from, you know, just sitting with my thoughts and my emotions. That's a whole another thing. But since the Mercury retrograde is a period to do that, like some people, me, I'm speaking just for myself really, but I believe there are more people who are prone to like go inwards in terms of like connecting to people, like connecting and communicating with people. By understanding that, I do not rush into these conversations right now, and I believe that that way I can actually avoid a lot of misunderstandings and discussions even. Now, as I mentioned, I believe in some videos, I have a Mars in Libra. Now this is another example of me just blaming something on the planet. But no, really, I have a Mars in Libra. I hate arguing, okay? I would rather literally like ignore the world instead of arguing, like actually, you know, like actually arguing, especially when it comes to people who are not really like super important in my life. Like I will not waste my time and my peace arguing with someone who is not, like, for example, I know my partner, because I'm like, yeah, I do argue with my partner, okay, because I love the person, and not every day is like wonderful, amazing, you know, day where you're wearing like rose-shaped glasses, whatever. And why am I saying that? Arguing, yeah. And what I came to realize is that with Mercury retrograde, as I think I mentioned in this video a little bit earlier, I believe, I also felt really like annoyed by some people and by how they would just like be texting me and like talk to me and like get back to me and answer me, and I would be like, I don't want to talk to you right now. Oh my gosh. So by understanding that, I'm actually giving myself the space to just like sit with my thoughts. Do not rush into any conversation. Just take my time, and if the person is actually important for me, I gently let them know, like, look, I'll get back to you soon. Just let me go through this now, right? So this is basically how astrology can help you out by understanding what's going on, astrologically speaking. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted to say about the topic of isolation and like introspection. Something else, when I was talking about like arguments, you know, and like just like jumping into conversation that you may not even be ready for, Mercury retrograde tends to be really nasty when it comes to that, because sometimes you feel like, I just want to say something. And okay, I was briefly interrupted by my partner and I kind of lost my train of thoughts. So if I just suddenly am like out of the context, apologies. Mercury retrograde. So basically I just want to say that also when it comes to like annoyance and these like arguments and stuff, I think that people are more prone to, oh yeah, I think I was talking about that. People are more prone to like answer quickly, you know, things they like want to say. And we need to understand that, again, as I mentioned, we are not the only people, like in this case, I'm not the only person under the effect of Mercury retrograde, right? So is everyone else. And therefore, also I think being a little more aware of that can actually help you communicate maybe a little bit better and maybe think a little bit more before you say something, before you communicate something, right? Which leads me back to introspection and maybe a little bit of isolation. Now, I'm not saying that you have to isolate. I would never suggest that's the thing you need to do, because I honestly don't know if that's a good thing to do. I've been told it's not. I know it works for me, but it might not work for you. And again, I'm not, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do. The only thing I would like to say with this video is that if you decide to live more consciously when it comes to astrological knowledge, for example, you can really use it to your advantage and you can really use it to improve your life. So, for example, in this particular case and in this particular topic, you can prevent many stupid, unnecessary arguments, right? And misunderstandings. However, as I said, people tend to be sometimes very quick with their words, and I don't think it's a good idea to ever be very quick with their words, because you never know how the other person is going to take it, and especially not during the Mercury retrograde, when as I said, the communication canals are just, well, not blocked completely, but that they are prone to be like interrupted, and yeah, because Mercury again rules over communication above all. Anyway, so with all that being said, I actually brought my thought greenie here, and here comes a little funny story. Yesterday when I recorded this video, I actually shuffled the deck. I was like, let's get the message for this Mercury retrograde and isolation, like, what's the message? And I got a card that was just like so perfect for this. So I think I'm just gonna show you the card. I don't think I'm gonna shuffle the deck again. I'm sorry, but this is the bad thing when it comes to shooting videos and shuffling the cards in the moment, because then when the video just goes to hell, then your lovely card pool goes to hell as well. So anyway, I have the card like right on the bottom, so I'm just gonna put the deck aside and take the card. So the card I got yesterday as like the general message about the Mercury retrograde and isolation was Ace of Wands from my lovely greenie. And I literally couldn't think about a better card, because I was talking about all these things about miscommunication, about this, you know, like people being too quick with their words and getting into arguments, therefore, and having misunderstandings. And I know that you might be thinking, well, but this is a wand card, it's not a sword card, because swords are usually, well, not usually, swords are the suit that's all about mind, communication, intellect. Basically, swords would be more related to Mercury. However, why am I saying that the Ace of Wands is the best card I could possibly pull for this topic? Is because I told you, if you recall, that I feel a lot of annoyance this Mercury retrograde when people like send me messages and demand my attention or whatever. This sounds really bitchy of me, but it just these periods, like there are periods where I just can't stand talking to people, okay? So, annoyance. And I told you also that people are sometimes quick with their words, they just act on their annoyance and get into arguments and fights, like with words, I mean. And Ace of Wands to me is literally this like primal energy, like this is just this sparkle of like anger, you know, like someone tells you something annoying and you just like explode at them. Like this is this energy to me. It's raw fire energy, it's just raw drive, it's just raw reaction, you know, no thinking. Literally, it's like the opposite of thinking. I think Ace of Wands, in my opinion, like to me, it would be like the opposite of the entire swords suit. It's just like acting, it's pure action, no strategizing, no anything, right? And this card, again, in the situation, in the topic of Mercury retrograde and isolation, was really telling me that it is actually so important to take the time, again, maybe not to isolate, okay, it's just my thing, but maybe just like take your time a little bit and do not act with this energy during Mercury retrograde. Because if you choose to just react based on your whatever anger, annoyance, or even if you misunderstand someone and you just like, how could they say that to me, like, and you get annoyed, you get angry, and you want to respond to that, and it's gonna just create more, you know, discussion and more mud. Maybe don't do that. So yeah, this is how I read this card, and this is why I decided to just like take the card and not shuffle the deck again, because I think it was the perfect message. So here it is. Maybe just like, you know, take your time a little bit and measure your words a little bit. Now, if you're watching this, I don't know when this video is going to land on your algorithm, because I don't understand how YouTube works. So I will be uploading this video while we are still going to be in Mercury retrograde period. But as I said, it doesn't really matter when you watch it. Mercury retrograde will come again. And this message is very much it's a very universal Mercury retrograde message, I believe. Like this advice, they cannot go wrong, I believe, and it can apply during any Mercury retrograde, or actually any time. Like we should be a little bit more conscious and discerning about what we are saying to other people, how we communicate with other people, but like especially during Mercury retrograde, because it can be just a little bit more difficult, you know. So, wow, okay, let me take a little bit of a sip of my water. So, I actually think I said everything I wanted to say, or probably not, but I think this was a little less chaotic than yesterday, because if you saw me, if you heard me talking yesterday, no, as I said, it was way too chaotic even for me, and that's something to say, because I'm usually just like all over the place always, you know, that I'm not the most structured and organized person. Okay, it is what it is. But okay, I think this is the message, this is the topic I want to talk about. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know how you are experiencing Mercury retrograde, and let me know if this, like the need for isolation, is something you experienced, because again, I've been experiencing it for the majority of my life, but this time around it's like it's huge. I'm just like overflown with it. So, and I would be really interested to know if there is anyone else, maybe some fellow introverts, who are feeling it too. Or am I just alone? I don't know. Let me know down below, as well as any other thoughts you might have. If you want to hang out with me a little longer, I invite you to watch other videos available on my channel. Subscribe if you feel like it. It would make me really happy. More videos about tarot, spirituality, witchcraft, oracle, all the good stuff are coming, so stay tuned for that. And that would be it for me for today, so stay kind, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!